Hi everybody. So today I'm going to be presenting a little bit about the critical path, how to build a network diagram, and how to find float or slack in your projects. Now this is a very technical aspect of project management. I have posted a couple of videos that are good resources for this. He basically repeats what I am saying, but with a different type of different type of activities. He doesn't actually say what his activities are. Very good resources. This here is a bit of different scope because I want to show you how work breakdown structure feeds into network diagrams. So you've done a work breakdown structure now for the laundry room renovation project for your individual assignment. And I've asked you also to do one for your group project. Most of you have like a draft and you just need to make a few changes. But this is the next step for work breakdown structure. It is related to resources, how to allocate resources, and when you need to allocate resources to make sure that your project stays on schedule. So it tells us, the network diagram build tells us about the timing of our activities in projects. And it allows us to know, and it allows us to really consider, okay, how long will these activities broken down take? It allows you to know where the critical path is in a project, which means which activities can certainly not change in their start and end date predictions without getting the entire project delayed. And it allows you to know where float or slack is in a project, and that is basically the opposite of the critical path. There will be certain activities in any project that can be adjusted. Their start and end dates can be adjusted a little bit. And the float or the slack, that's an interchangeable term, allows you to know how many days delay with different activities are available to you. So for my example, I'm going to take a backyard chicken coop pandemic project that my son and I built in March when we were not sure if our food supplies were going to be appropriately provided by the grocery store. So we thought, okay, let's get some chicks. So we got chicks around Easter, which would be April of last year. And I'm going to show you how we planned for and then built. So first of all, I made a work breakdown structure very similar to what you all made. I made it with some Post-its, and that is here. Now here you can see that I have the budget coding that you also have. And this is kind of a large work breakdown structure compared to the network diagram you will see in a minute. But this is the coop that we built, and these were each the activities we had to do. Now, in work breakdown structure, you're really just pulling your activities into different categories. You're not thinking about actually when those activities take place. But in the network diagram, you are. And so the first thing I needed to do when I was looking at the work breakdown structure, and now just pretend that these are Post-its, I thought this is too hard to see, so I've built my Post-its in the computer program. The first thing I'll do is I will take out any headings. So the headings for pandemic chicken coop, materials, prep, assemble, and equipment, they're all gone. I just stick with activities. And the second thing I do is I put them in some type of order of precedence. So what I know about activity packages is some cannot take place without others taking place first, and we call that a precedent relationship. So for instance, I couldn't pick up my lumber without ordering the lumber first. And so this is a precedence to picking up the lumber. And as you can see, all along here, we have different precedent relationships. I can pick up the lumber without gathering the extension cords, but I cannot cut the lumber list without my extension cords or without checking the blades on my saws. I can assemble the base after I've cut the lumber list, but I have to pick up the screws, nails, and fasteners. Nothing else is a precedent here. Like I can do that whenever. Okay? So these lines are representing the relationship of what happens first, second, and third when they must happen in that order. From here, for each of those Post-its, I will put the duration of the activity within each of them. So in this particular project, I said half a day would be our minimum allocation for each activity. Now, in some projects, you might see these done by the hour. In some, they'll be done by the day. And primarily, those are the two. But for me, this is a little home project. I wanted to make sure I had enough time, and I didn't want to get into the hours of things. So I wanted to just make sure ordering lumber at the most basic level, I was always going to have half a day allocated to any activity. If it deserved its own post-it, it deserved half a day. So ordering lumber, yes, it took me less than an hour, but I allocated half a day to it. So right here, you see half a day. It took me 4 days to pick up the lumber. Now, what's important to note here is it didn't take me 4 days of picking up the lumber. There was a lag of 3 days, and I allocated 1 day to picking up the lumber. Sometimes you'll see a network diagram where it will have 3 to represent a lag and then 1. But I don't do that. I just collapse. Okay, so I can pick up my lumber on day. Picking up the lumber would take me 4 days. So the durations are added to each of the post-its in the middle of the post-it. Here, I've put it below. For your second piece, you are going to do a forward pass. And the forward pass works like this. You start on day 0 and you add the duration. So 0 is called the early start. You add the duration to get your early finish of 0.5. You carry over your early finish into the early start of the next work package, adding the duration to get your early finish. Okay? Carry it, add the duration to get your early finish. Now here, this did not have a precedent relationship with any of these. So this gathering extension cords could also happen on day 0. It took half a day, carried over, up until here, where we have an early finish of checking the saw blades of day 1. Now, I did not carry 1 up to the top here. I carried the longest activity, which is 4.5 early finish. So you look at which one is bigger and carry it forward. Okay? Even though checking this is one pathway and this is another pathway, you only carry forward the biggest one. Okay? Same with here. When I moved down, my early finish ended up being 1.5 days. I'm not going to carry that forward. I carry over the 8 because it's the larger amount. This is what your post-it layout should look like. You should have your early start, the activity name, the duration. Mine's a little different. Mine's underneath. The early finish, the late finish, and the late start. Now we're going to do a backwards pass. So to do the backwards pass, you take the early finish of your last activity in your row and you carry it down to late finish. Then you deduct your activity duration to get your late start. You carry your late start over, deduct half a day to get 7.5. And as you can see, you move along throughout. Now, for this one here, this only has 1. So we took the larger amount, or this had a preceding relationship here, carried it. Oh, I didn't take any larger. Sorry, I'm getting myself mixed up. So I took the late start here and carried it down, deducting half a day to get the 6. It's the next one here that I want to show. So I did carry forward the late start in 2 ways. I carried it to move base to permanent location, and I also carried that amount down here. Now, I deducted half a day here for 7.5, but I made a change in this one. Same as we did in the forward pass, but this time, instead of taking the larger number, I took the smallest number. So this one had a preceding relationship with both of these, and so I took the 4.5 for here. Same thing all the way through. Okay? Now what I'm going to ask you to do is analyze this a little bit. So first of all, you identify the critical path by looking at where any activities where the early finish and the late finish are the same. So here, early finish and late finish are the same, and I've highlighted our critical path. Now, what's important for you to know as the project manager is that nothing should be changing about the schedule or the activity durations for this path. You have no slack. You have no room. So if you have extra resources and you're falling behind, you're going to want 2 people to pick up lumber instead of 1. So you know how to allocate resources and budget to making sure that critical path, the durations, and the early starts and early finishes are adhered to. If you do that, then the project schedule will not go over. Let's analyze the network diagram a little bit. So think about what is the last day of the project that you can pick up screws, nails, and fasteners without delaying the project. And I invite you to pause the video here. Pause and think about it. La, 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 la. And the answer is you can delay picking them up until day 6 of the project. But you must have them picked up within half a day. So day 6.5. So really, you can pick them up on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the latest because you have to get them done by 6.5. What is the earliest you can cut the chicken wire? So looking at this network diagram, I invite you to pause this video. Oh, and this is answer 2, sorry. You can cut it on day 1. You cannot start on day 0, however, because you need extension cords and blades on the saws before you can cut the wire. So we start at day 0, so this will be actually day 2, but we call it day 1. And what is the latest that you can pick up the lumber without delaying the project? Well, picking up the lumber, as you know, is on the critical path. So pause here, think about it, and it is on day 4 by noon, halfway through the day. You must pick it up within that first, What is the latest you can pick up the lumber without delaying the project? Oh, on day 4 by noon. Sorry, I'm looking at it funny. Okay, so on day 4, so day 4.5, that is the latest. You must pick it up on day 4, halfway through the day, so that your project does not go over time overall. So calculating float allows you to figure out how many days do you really have to complete certain activities. And so what you want to do is, I've posted the post-it here again, is look at your total float, which equals your late finish minus your early finish. So here we have late finish minus early finish is 3.5. So you actually have 3.5 days to gather your extension cords. Yes, you can start on day 0. It's only going to take half a day. So you could also start on day 2, 3. You can start on different days. This gives you your float. Late start, and if you do late start minus your early start, you'll notice that it's the same number. So I've put your float above these here. So you have some play in this project within these activities, and this one too, because you know that you don't have to start it until day 6 at the latest. Okay. You know, you don't have to start you don't have to have your chicken wire cut until day 7.5 at the latest. You don't have to have the blades checked on your saws until day 4 at the very latest. So you have 3.5 days play for these activities, 6.5 for this one. Okay, so hopefully that is helpful. The next thing you will do is I'm giving you an assignment called Cooking Bolognese Sauce. and that will also be in the form of a presentation. So I hope this helps. I would encourage you to also watch the YouTube videos that I've posted. They are super helpful. And if you have any questions, let me know.